What happens when two seasoned business leaders get together? They talk shop, of course. Sit back and listen in as Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso share from their experience around current issues facing executives, entrepreneurs, and their leadership teams. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hey, welcome back. Scott DeLong here, CEO Podcast. This is a relaunch. This is our third episode coming up in the relaunch of something that we have done for years. In fact, we have 100 episodes in the past 5 seasons, and Vince and I took a little break, a little too long a break for my taste, because I miss doing this. I miss having the conversations. I miss having the connection with the audience. So if you want to get a hold of me, my info is scott@lead2goals.com. It's Lead with the number 2, goals.com. Or you can just go right to my website, lead2goals.com.
Vince Moiso here. Scott, glad to be back. Just as you were mentioning, definitely miss it. And, we're rolling into episode 3 of this limited series, which is super fun. And as far as I'm concerned, we had first episode, second episode, pretty electric, very relevant to what's going on these days. You can reach me at vince@vizbiz.us or just check out my website, vizbiz.us, or you can check out vincemoiso.com. I'll take you to the same spot. What do we got for today, Scott?
So in episode 3, we're going to talk about culture and the cost of culture. And what's the ROI, or can you even calculate the ROI? So culture is so important to a business, and it must adapt as the business grows. It's not just one and done. There's going to be changes that are going to be happening throughout your business, and your culture is going to change. In fact, there are those that say that culture changes every time there's a new person that either enters or exits a business. The culture is going to change somewhat. So how much time should leadership be spending on culture, and who should own it?
Yeah, great question, right? Every leader says culture matters, right? But we often talk about, as you go through that vision, mission, value type process, are you really living those values? And that's really culture, the culture of a business, in my opinion, just stripped down to that simplicity. Often when revenue dips, it can be the first thing to go, right? Culture can break down very quickly. As new people come into the business and impact culture, it can change the culture of a business. So the real question becomes, is it the CEO's responsibility to maintain culture? If you have a CMO, is it the CMO's responsibility, or the marketing director, the VP of marketing? Is it the responsibility of the HR director, right? Do we call on the HR department?
Is there an all of the above answer in there somewhere?
I think there is an all of the above, right? To maximize the ROI on culture, because we want to talk about that today. What is the ROI on culture? What's the amount of time that should be spent on it as a team, right? So if the process is, and I'll just jump into my angle on this, Scott, if that's okay, is I'm a big believer in culture. I mean, we've had previous episodes where we focus so much on culture. There's no question that you and I agree culture is important to a business, and I think few people would argue that. Yet it is so absent from so many businesses. Really, it's incredible. And I think there's no doubt that the CEO or the business owner or owners, they understand the importance of culture, but how much are they really working on it? I can tell you as a business, we've worked incredibly hard on developing our culture and continue to do it. It's at the forefront. Take communication as an example. Communication as a part of our culture is something that we rank on a regular basis. So we have a meeting cadence that includes, weekly management check-in, monthly planning, to quarterly planning, to quarterly and monthly what we call team check-ins, or what you might call a town hall, right? And all of those things are important if you want employees, your team members, to be connected with the business, and specifically to be connected with your culture.
So here's my take, a little bit different. Same, but different. But the things that I challenge. Culture is going to happen, whether you manage it or not. A culture is going to develop. If you don't manage it, the one that you get may not be the one that you wanted. It'll bubble up, people to decide. So besides vision, mission, values, which is definitely what people talk about in culture, there's another definition that I like to use, and it's how we do things around here. That's what culture really becomes.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen with or without your involvement. My question is, do you want to help manage that? Do you want to help set the direction? Or do you want it to happen without you? That's your choice.
Well, it's marketing 101, right? So if you just strip that down to the way that marketing defines that, either you can control the narrative or you can let the narrative be controlled externally. I personally work incredibly hard with our marketing department to control the narrative as much as possible. That can run away from you very quickly. I think culture is very much the same in the way that you described it. Culture is going to happen whether you want it to or not. It's how toxic cultures develop.
Absolutely.
Because it is, as a leader, I should only be pointing inward and looking in a mirror to understand that I allowed that toxic culture to happen because, as you pointed out, culture is going to happen with or without you. And so I want to control that narrative. And the way that you control that narrative is to make sure that you've got a tribe that's all working on it together. So as I put out in the theme, whose responsibility is it? Well, it's all of our responsibility. Yeah. So I think that's where you were headed, as you were saying, is there an all of the above option? There absolutely is an all of the above.
And it's not just at leadership level, it is at the janitor's level as well.
All the way through.
All of the above.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'd like to challenge just a little bit is that they say, well, we said at the beginning of this, there's a cost to culture. Well, sure, there's time and opportunity cost everywhere you look.
Yeah.
But I don't see culture as a cost. It's the container that makes all other performance sustainable. I want to say that again. Culture is not a cost. It's a container that makes all other sustainable performance possible.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned, as I was rolling through the theme of this podcast today, Scott, I talked about the ROI on culture, that return on investment in culture. The ROI can come in a lot of forms, which is where I think you're leading to, one of which would be increased productivity.
Absolutely.
Happy people equal happy customers, right? I'm not the one who said that. So we know that to be true. There's countless data and statistics that tell us happy employees, happy people working within your business equal happy customers. So if your employees are happy with their work environment, their workplace, and who they work with because of that culture, then we know that's going to bleed out externally with your customer base and with your vendors and everything else. So again, to me, it goes all the way back to the way you build your vision. Do you have a clear vision, and have you expressed that with your team? Are they aligned with that vision?
Have they bought into that?
Are they bought into that
there you go.
vision, right? And then have you created a mission around that? Like, how are you going to execute on that vision? So what's that mission? Why are you doing it? What's your purpose? And then ultimately, do you have values that align with that? And we have a few episodes previously that really talked about mission, vision, values, and the critical component of that. We talked about this. Do the values of your business match your own values? Right. Because you can't have two different sets of values. You can't show up as one person at business and a totally different person when you walk out the door. Those values have to be integrated. And then when you hire,
it goes deeper. That's right.
You're hiring people that align with those values. When that's misaligned, that's an impact negatively or positively on a culture when they're aligned, right? Like when those values align amidst people that you're hiring, wow, I mean, that culture just gets better and better. You can tell very quickly when they're misaligned, and that toxicity is coming through.
So I think toxicity comes in a couple different places. The first one in my mind is probably the most important one, is if this culture develops without you and it's inconsistent with your values, that's exactly when the toxic leadership styles come into play.
Yeah.
The misalignment there. when you're talking about alignment on values, and I think that's the starting point, not just with the leadership team aligning on the values, therefore having those spread down through the organization, but in the hiring process as well.
Yeah.
Because I know this to be true. Because I've been places where my values did not align with the organizations. I took the job for the money, but I didn't stay. I was gone. Like, if my values don't align with your values, there is no way we're hanging out together. You can't pay me enough to hang out with someone where those things are
It's
in
it's
contrast.
exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is that, and I spent some years in an environment where it was exhausting. It just wasn't aligning with who I was and who I wanted to be, and so you've just got to remove yourself. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's not worth whatever extra money that you're getting paid to be in a toxic culture, and there's a lot of them out there. So here's the debate spark.
Okay.
All right. So that debate spark is simple for me. Forget about the ROI on culture for a second. Let's just forget about that. What's the impact if you're not prioritizing culture within your business?
Well, we've said a few of those things already. It will turn into a toxic work environment that people will not be productive. The quiet quitting comes into place. The real quitting comes into place. So turnover increases, productivity decreases when you don't have a unified culture. And culture can mean whatever you want it to mean as long as there's alignment, right? There are people that love the militaristic style of business. Cool. If that works for you and the people that are working for you, that's your culture.
Yeah.
Then you're going to thrive.
Right.
But if it's not, if you want it to be something different, something around the principles that you live, and those are not necessarily this command and control approach, the militaristic approach that I'm talking about, then you have to get alignment on that. First, you have to know who you are.
Yeah.
Know who your company is. If you've got partners or investors or whatever, keep alignment there. But alignment throughout the management level, throughout the worker level, it doesn't matter. You've got to get complete alignment. So my take is this. Take as much time as you need. Take as much time as you need to hire. Take as much time as you need to develop that culture. Involve as many people as you can in that process, whether it's cross-functionality people that think different, like the sales department thinks different than the credit department,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Operations department thinks different than the marketing department. That's natural. Put those people in the same room if we want to develop this culture. We want to, in my mind, culture of collaboration, communication, sense of self-worth, all of that makes sense. I'm not the militaristic guy that I used to be. And I think the culture that I want to develop centers around communication, improving that communication, broadening that communication, deepening that communication.
Yeah, I like all that. Any of our longtime listeners know that I'm a disc personality junkie. I can't help but going back to that because I think a healthy culture has a diversity of personality types. Because certain personality types are well suited for certain positions. It depends on what your business is, right, of course, and depends on positions that are necessary, whether it's an engineer that you need versus someone that's going to go out into the marketplace and get in front of customers versus somebody that is handling finance to someone else that might be customer service, all the above, right? But they do take different personality types, and understanding those personality types will only enhance your culture because then you understand how to get along. You understand that person doesn't give and receive information in the same way that you do. And you understand that if I want to get what I want, then there's a different way to communicate that. And all these things, understanding each other's personality type is only going to enhance culture. And I'm going to repeat something that you said earlier, Scott, because I think this is an important point. You said early on, culture is going to happen with or without you, right? Whether you direct it or not, or whether you're putting time and effort into it, culture is going to happen whether you want it to or not. And the question becomes whether you want to be the one to control that narrative or at least influence where that culture is going to go. Then you have to put time into it. I prefer, personally, to control that narrative. So culture is just going to be something that I'm going to invest in. I'm going to put the time into, regardless of the state of the business either. And my business is living proof of that. And I've got, thankfully, this incredible team that's all bought into that. And we've changed our hiring processes. We've done all those things. So when I talk about the DISC personality test and understanding each other's personality, getting people coaching so that they can develop in their careers, or understanding that we want to develop human beings. So we're teaching and coaching on things that develop them as a human being, makes them more productive.
More than just the training on the task that they need to do in the business.
Yeah, 100%. I just, it's my favorite thing is when I get the feedback that, oh, hey, when you were teaching me about communication the other day and we were talking about that, I actually did that with my husband, and it was amazing to be able to bring that back to home. And so it's like, okay, all of a sudden now we're in, life becomes integrated in that way. It's a really fun thing. When the culture of your business can reach that height.
That's my favorite thing as a coach as well. I mean, sure, we're there for the business. The business hires us to do a certain thing. But when the client is coming back and telling us how this worked at home, worked in the neighborhood, worked on the little league field, wherever they were, right?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's like I get this dopamine hit. It's like a drug that hits me when they're telling me those stories. And exactly right. Be who you want to be.
Yeah.
Be the best version of yourself. Get in alignment with the other people within the organization. And you've got a place that people can't wait to get to on Monday morning.
Bingo.
Right? Sure, Friday night, we're done with work. Let's go party. Let's have the weekend, spend time with the family, all that. But the people that I want working with me are the people that on Sunday night start itching.
Yeah.
They start itching because they get to go in, use the word tribe. I use that a lot. I get to go see my tribe right, Monday morning and get excited about that. Those are the people I want to hire.
Well, if people are calling in sick on Mondays on a regular basis, that's a clear indicator that you need to do a culture check, in my opinion.
Unless that's the culture you want. I
can't imagine.
You get to run the business you want to run if that's what it is. All right.
Yeah.
This is such a deep conversation. I want to go back to, it's not a cost. And you need to take as much time as it takes to end up developing the culture that you want. And the difference, one word I want to use difference. You used both of them in the same sentence. You said, I want to be able to control that. And you also said the word influence. And for me, I like to utilize influence much more than control, because I grew up as this command and control guy. So that word has a negative connotation in my mind.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't even try to control myself. I try to manage myself now because I want to avoid using the word. But really, it's the influence that I want to be able to have. And I want others to be able to have influence on me as well. For me to be able to listen. When you talked about the DISC profiles and having divergent personalities, that only works if we're willing to listen to each other and trying to understand from their point of view what it is that they're saying. Not with my biases, not with my judgment, but from their point of view, empathetic listening.
Well, you always have to have willing participants, is what you're talking about. People that
but we can influence that too.
We talked. If you've been in sports, right? If you've been an athlete, you understand if someone's coachable or not coachable, right? And I think someone has to be coachable, right, to really embrace a culture. So Scott, as we finish up here, what's the question? So for the CEOs, the entrepreneurs that are listening, the key execs, these managers that are working within a business, somebody that wants to impact or influence culture within their business, what should they be thinking about?
I think the question I asked myself, about the time I turned 50, I had this thought process, and I asked myself this question: what do I want to be when I grow up? At 50, I asked that question. What do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah.
If you can get the answer to that, so that's like vision, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
a point in the horizon that I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So asking that question, what do I want to be when I grow up? And then I can just work backwards. I'm not sure who it was Wayne Dyer or Stephen Covey. Someone said, to lead a life worth living, write your obituary and work backwards.
Yeah.
I think the same thing in the business. What do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah, it's the Stephen Covey habit, which is begin with the end, right?
Yep.
Or with the end in mind. So as you create this vision, if you're thinking 3 years down the road or whatever that is, begin with the end. I like it. I call it a crystal ball exercise. I've done it many times.
Sure.
I do it with people that I coach, and it's December 31st of the next year. And what happened? What are we high-fiving about? Like, what happened this year that totally changed your business, that changed you personally, all those types of things. So I think you bring up a really great point, is begin with the end in mind. I love that.
So let me go to another end question. And here's one that I want to challenge the listener to. So if Vince and I were to survey your employees right now, what would they say about the culture within your business?
It's powerful.
And what would you say? Right? And would those two answers align? Think through that.
Wow. What about this? If the employees were surveyed about you, what would they say about you as a leader?
Yeah.
What would they say about how you're handling communication or culture?
We do 360s all the time in our work.
Think about that.
And the thing that's really powerful is the difference between what I think about me and what others think about me. And that's the gap that I need to narrow.
So powerful.
Now, that's more individual than the culture, but you are right on target right there. So what would your people say about your culture? And does it align with what you would say?
Right on. Episode 3 in the books, man. This limited series has been fun. So we've already put out a couple of super fun episodes. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. In a couple weeks, we'll release out episode 4 of this limited series, all around leadership at the crossroads. I think it's fun to explore these topics given our current political and economic environment. I used the word on the last episode, supercharged, and that's what it feels like. And so we appreciate hanging with us, and stay tuned for more.
Thanks for staying.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. Please visit us at theceopodcast.net, where you can learn more about our co-hosts and listen to past episodes. If you would like to have a discussion and dive deeper into any topic, there is also an option to contact Scott or Vince to schedule some time with them. Thanks for listening.